Hello and welcome to The Beat, a news and talk program brought to you by the Center for Community Media at Worcester State University. I'm your host, Aubrey Plante, and today we will be interviewing David Peterson, General Manager of the Bravehearts. How are you today?
Excellent. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right, so we just have a couple questions. How did you get started within the field of communication, and how did your background lead to your current position with the Worcester Bravehearts?
Well, it's interesting because I started really the same way that you're starting here, and I was fortunate enough to have a television studio at my high school. And so, I was not an athlete. I played golf, so I suppose you can call that an athlete, but I worked basically watching sports, and one of my real passions in high school was broadcasting the games, providing play-by-play for football, basketball, and I really did get into sports that way. That's what brought me to college. I went to Syracuse University and I went to the Newhouse School for Public Communications, and my real focus there, the major was called Television, Radio, and Film. My real focus was radio, actually, and I really loved creating theater of the mind, learning how to program a radio station. It was a top 40 rhythmic radio station, and so I learned quite a bit about delivering news, connecting with listeners, and then going out and actually doing promotions on the street to meet listeners, and that's what brought me to Worcester. And I got a job here at 104.5 WXLO as a promotions director back in 2002. So I was always this radio guy, and then this baseball team came to town in 2005 named the Worcester Tornadoes. Because I was doing promotions for the radio station, they hired me to do promotions for the baseball team. And you've probably seen it, they have these people that run around and throw t-shirts into the crowd and do pie eating contests and entertain the fans when there's no action going on between innings. That's how I got into sports. And that was 2005 with the Worcester Tornadoes, and you fast forward 17 years and I'm still here in sports, and I'm running the baseball team now, and I'm still having fun doing it.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, what are some of your job responsibilities as a general manager for the Bravehearts?
When you work in minor league sports or summer collegiate sports, which is really what the Worcester Bravehearts are, you really have to be ready to perform so many different duties that you never thought you'd have to do. And so my duties as a general manager might not be exactly what you think of when you think of a general manager for a Major League Baseball team, because for a Major League Baseball team, a general manager primarily is the one that is scouting players, signing contracts, signing free agents, building a roster. And I don't do as much of that as they do in Major League Baseball. I have a coaching staff that does that, and we have student athletes from right here, from Worcester State University, that are on our team. And so as a general manager, it's the player piece that I don't really focus on. I focus on the sales, trying to sell tickets and get people to show up to the games. It's a 3,000 seat stadium. There are 32 home games over the course of the summer, and we need to pay our bills. Just like any small business, we need people to come and support the team. Selling tickets, selling sponsorship. So all the time when you see signage in the outfield at a particular stadium, that's a lot of what I do, is put together sponsorship packages for local companies. And then community relations. On Friday I will be reading to 350 kids, elementary age students at Columbus Park School in Worcester, and incentivizing them to read books by giving them a free ticket every time they read 10 books. So I'm out in the community with my best friend, Jake the Lion, who is our mascot. And there's a lot of that mix of sales, community relations, building the staff, and then the operations piece that goes into cleaning a stadium, making sure it's safe for the fans. We only play baseball for 11 weeks during the year, but this is a full-time job for 52 weeks. And even though we might not be playing baseball, we're out in the community doing other things, kind of like this.
Yeah. For any viewers that are not familiar with the organization, tell us about the Bravehearts. What division is the team in? Where do they play? Do they have any rivals?
Well, the cool thing about the Bravehearts is that it's a summer collegiate baseball team. And I mentioned earlier, we actually recruit students locally, and we have students from Worcester State University that are on our team, and we've had not just players, but we've had staff members and interns that are interested in getting into sports, and we've recruited interns from Worcester State University. And so the Worcester Bravehearts have been around for 10 years. It'll be our 10th season in 2023. We play in a league called the Futures League. The Futures League is really focused on recruiting baseball players from New England and showcasing them for scouts, baseball scouts, because nobody really thinks of New England as a hotbed for baseball talent. People think of the South, Florida and Texas and Arizona and Georgia, because they can play baseball 12 months a year. Whereas in the Northeast, you've got 3 feet of snow on the ground in January and February. You can't really get outside and play baseball. That's what the great thing about the Futures League is, because we have to recruit at least half of our roster from kids that grew up locally, that go to school locally, from schools like Worcester State University, Holy Cross, and then if you start branching out, Boston College, University of Connecticut, Franklin Pierce up in New Hampshire. And so it really does put a spotlight on these student athletes who are playing baseball, and it showcases them with the opportunity to get drafted by a major league team if a Major League Baseball scout sees what they're doing and decides that that is a great move for the franchise. And so that's really the niche of the Futures League, and the Bravehearts have several rivals in the league. I would say that our top rival is Nashua, the Nashua Silver Knights. They've won the championship 5 times now. And they have a beautiful stadium, and we also are owned by the same entity. So that's kind of why we have a rivalry with Nashua. It's a great model.
Yeah.
It's a great model. Summer collegiate baseball is everything you would expect in a fun minor league baseball experience with lower costs.
What are the most rewarding and the most challenging aspects of your position?
When we talk about rewarding parts of this job, I think about what I can do to get students to the next level. And that doesn't just include players, it includes staff members. It includes people coming in maybe their sophomore or junior year as a summer intern and working with us, learning about all of the fun stuff that happens, and then all of the not so fun stuff that happens, like picking up trash and plunging toilets and pushing puddles off the field so we can play baseball, and picking up fireworks. And that is a lot of what happens with the Worcester Bravehearts that people don't know about. So my most rewarding piece, I think, is when I can teach a student what it takes to work in sports, and then that student goes on and gets a job with the Boston Celtics or PGA Golf, or moves across the country and starts working with the Los Angeles Chargers or a football team like that. And so when I can look back and say that man or that woman started their career as an intern with the Worcester Bravehearts, it makes me proud, because I feel like that's what the Bravehearts are. We are a training ground for students to come in, learn what it takes, and then hopefully, just like a scout would notice a baseball player, they will get a job in the industry and hopefully will say, I learned a lot of these skills by working with the Bravehearts. And then as far as, what are the most challenging things? There's a few. The sports industry is unpredictable. The number one unpredictable thing is the weather. Yeah. And so when we have a thunderstorm warning at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, people don't show up because they feel that, it might rain tonight, and so all of this work you put in to try and sell tickets and advertise the game, and now we've got a 20-minute shower and people stay home. And so that's the difficulty with outdoor sports. It's in New England, it probably is the difficulty with winter sports as well, hockey and basketball. If you see that there's going to snow, and people don't come to a Worcester State basketball game, right?
Yeah.
So, and then it's a challenge. We have to define our brand, and we have to compete against a team that's here in the city, that's a AAA franchise for the Boston Red Sox, that has many more, it's more prestigious, they have many more resources than us, they have a lot more marketing dollars, and so what we need to do is compete against another baseball team here in the city to make sure that we're still drawing fans to come watch the Bravehearts. So those are the challenges. I like those challenges, I relish those challenges, and that's what brings me to work every day.
Yeah. You are sometimes referred to as Peterman. Why are you called that, and what is the rally dance?
That's my fake name. Like Madonna and Cher, and like that's my personality. So Peterman is, I don't know, did you ever watch Seinfeld? Did you ever see that show?
I've only seen bits and pieces.
Well, it's all right. It's a funny show. Once we have a blizzard, you can sit inside and watch episodes of Seinfeld. So there was a character on Seinfeld named Peterman. And he was this crazy character that worked for a catalog that sold clothing, and he was just witty, he talked a lot, kind of like myself, and everyone thought he was crazy. And so in college, as I mentioned, I was on the radio. I needed a radio name. People would walk by my dorm room, the door would be open, and they just yell Peterman, even though my real last name is Peterson. They had misspelled it on the name tag that was on my door. So Peterman stuck. And so people call me Peterman now. And what I did when I started working with the Tornadoes was I tried to entertain the crowd, and I want the game to be a show. When you come to a game, much like a Harlem Globetrotters game, it's a show. Okay, there's other things going on. So when the team was losing in the late innings, I would put on this ridiculously tacky jacket, hideous, and I would dance in the stands to try and get the crowd into it. And so the kids would get up and start throwing their hands up, and the parents would start laughing, and like all of a sudden the crowd would get back into it. And a lot of times it would affect what's going on the field, and the Tornadoes would come back and win. And so this also stuck. And so now it's a feature at these Bravehearts games where I do a dance in the 8th inning or the 9th inning, and I get the crowd riled up, and sometimes it helps the team to come back and win the game, and it's all part of the show.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
You can't take yourself too seriously. That's what that's why I try to train our staff.
Yeah. What is the Worcester Sports Management Summit, and what is the Bravehearts' involvement with this event?
So, and I just said don't take yourself too serious, but this is a very serious event. And so what we are trying to do with the Worcester Sports Management Summit, which will be right here on the campus of Worcester State University on February 10th, which is the Friday of Super Bowl weekend. So it's already going to be a great sports weekend. And what we're trying to do here is invite students who have an interest in the business of sports, particularly marketing, public relations, sales, and then all of the new genres of sports that might be coming out, talking about NIL deals within NCAA sports, and sports gambling is a big thing now. And so what we're doing is we're bringing in experts from the industry, people who work for the major sports teams, people who work for a lot of the arenas in the Northeast, and they're going to be sharing their thoughts on how sports is changing, and they're giving advice to college students on how they can get a job in sports. And so the event on February 10th is basically, it's a 5-hour event. It runs from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to feature a keynote speaker. It's going to feature these breakout panel set discussions where you might have 3 or 4 experts from different areas of sport talking directly to college students about how they got started in the industry. How did they network? How did they make a resume? How did they find an internship? And then there's also going to be a job fair. And so what we're going to have is dozens of local companies and national companies that will be looking to recruit at a job and career fair. So it's a 3-part event, the Worcester Sports Management Summit. It is the first time we have hosted this post-COVID. So this is a big year for us, because the last time we had it was in January of 2020 before the world shut down. So that's why we're bringing it back. People are hiring again in sports, which is great, and I feel like this is an awesome year to try and get people to come back and start networking with these people in the industry that can help students get a job or an internship that could launch their career.
Yeah. Can anyone attend the Worcester Sports Management Summit, and where can they find more information about it?
I really think people should attend the Worcester Sports Management Summit. It's one of the only events of its kind here in the Northeast, and so you can visit Woo Sports Summit, WOO sportssummit.com. There's an early bird price of $35 before Christmas, but we also are trying to encourage college classes, to book it as a field trip. Build it in to the spring semester syllabus. Bring the class out there, because it is a learning experience and it's going to help students learn everything that I just mentioned. How to network, how to build a resume, how to talk to people in the industry. And so, woosportsummit.com. We've still got a couple months as we tape this show before it happens, but I feel that now is a great opportunity for students as they are entering final exam period. They're going to be heading back home for semester break. They're going to think about, all right, what do I have to do to get ready for the spring semester? And one of the great ways that they can be prepared for the spring semester is to think about attending the Worcester Sports Management Summit, which I really believe will help them find internships over the course of the summer of 2023.
You have held several jobs in the communication field. Do you have any advice for students looking to get started in the field?
Well, and I said this buzzword in the last answer, it's networking. And everyone wonders, what does that mean? So, if you want to get into sports, you want to get into hospitality, you want to get into sales, you really have to make sure that you're putting yourself out there. And networking could be as simple as attending a Chamber of Commerce event and shaking hands with business owners. It could be as simple as creating a quick 1-minute video resume, really, presenting yourself to a camera and talking directly into the camera and saying, my name's Dave Peterson. I'm the general manager of the Worcester Bravehearts. I got my start by studying in television and radio, and I want to get into the sports field, and here's what I can do. And so networking is something that everyone talks about, and I think nobody knows how to do it. Why? Because we're all on our phones now. Like, we take our phone out and we're texting people and Snapchat and people go to dinner now and the whole meal, what are you doing? Like, you're looking at your phone, right? So it's the aspect of actually talking to someone and having a conversation with someone who's a hiring manager is an art. And I feel that anyone that wants to get into sports needs to be able to know how to have a conversation with those people. Talk about what your top skills are. What are you better at than anyone else? Because it's something. And if you were stuck in an elevator with the person that's hiring, let's say, the new public relations coordinator for the Boston Red Sox, what would you say to that person in order to get a job? If you had to pitch yourself in 30 seconds, what would you say? So I talk about networking, and I talk about making your own commercial. What's your commercial? And if you know what that 30-second commercial is that you can share with hiring managers, then you're going to have a really great opportunity at getting a job. And for me, I feel that my 30-second commercial is that I am an organized and professional person who knows how to cut through the clutter of all the advertising that we are bombarded with on a daily basis with genuine, remarkable and memorable sponsorship ideas that make people remember your product. And that's why you should advertise with the Worcester Bravehearts. So if you can come up with the 30-second commercial of who you are and present it to hiring managers, now you've got something, and now people are going to pay attention to your resume and potentially give you an opportunity for an internship or a job.
In your opinion, why should people attend a Bravehearts game?
I think a Bravehearts game is equal parts baseball and fun. And one of the interesting things that we find out about people that come to our games is that when you leave the game, 80% of the fans would not be able to tell you what the final score was because they're not there to just watch a game. They don't want to sit in their seat and watch baseball for 3 hours because maybe they've got little kids that don't have long attention spans. When you come to a Bravehearts game, we've got a mini golf course. We've got, in the 6th inning, we let every kid in the ballpark run across the outfield. We do dances on top of the dugout. We try to add flair to baseball. And that includes getting the players in the middle of the game to come up into the stands, sign autographs for kids. I just feel like we're more accessible. We're certainly family friendly. I feel that we're more affordable than other options. We also have a brand new all-you-can-eat ticket. So for $25, you can come into the ballpark and you can go back to the concession stand as many times as you want during the course of the game with unlimited great ballpark food, burgers, jumbo hot dogs, chicken sandwiches, fries. And so a $25 all-you-can-eat ticket is really an all-inclusive experience, and there's a great reason for a family of 4 to come out knowing that they'll get free parking, very affordable tickets, and they're going to have fun along the way. And if they leave in the 6th inning, they're not going to feel like they wasted money to come out and watch the Bravehearts. So that's why you can come watch a Worcester Bravehearts game.
Yeah, a great experience. All right, and then our last question is there anything that we did not cover that you would like to share with our viewers?
I just think that the future of the Bravehearts is bright. I feel that there is a market for 2 baseball teams in the 2nd largest city in New England. Worcester has over 200,000 residents, and then when you start branching out to central Massachusetts, you're looking at a pool of almost 700,000 people who are looking for fun things to do in the summer. And there's a lot of people who thought that the Worcester Bravehearts would cease to exist when the Worcester Red Sox came to town, and that's not the case at all. We just needed to put a little bit more effort into defining exactly what our product is, which is the last question that you asked me. And I do think that the Bravehearts are going to be here for the long term, and I feel that going to a Worcester Bravehearts game is a different experience than you've ever had before, because there is so much that you're going to see during a game that you've never seen before in your life.
Yeah.
With these players that are, doing cartwheels as they go out to the field, and like I said, every single kid in the ballpark gets a chance to run across the outfield in the 6th inning. It just electrifies the crowd when you see 600 to 700 kids booking it across the outfield. They all get to high five the players and get autographs when they're on the other side. I think the future is bright for the Worcester Bravehearts. And, we've sat here for half an hour and we haven't even talked about baseball. And we're a baseball team.
Yeah.
I'm not a baseball guy. And that's the big secret. I am a fun show guy. I prefer the show over the game. The show might be incorporated into the game, just as it is with a Harlem Globetrotters game, as I mentioned before. I do feel that a Worcester Bravehearts experience is a show, and it is something that families of central Massachusetts can take in and be happy that they actually saw that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we have today.
Well, thank you so much.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate that.
Thank you for coming here.
We'll see you at the Sports Management Summit, hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you for watching this episode of The Beat. Please remember to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We'll see you next time.